feel like you'd appreciate him?
Oh yes, well Garfield is my favorite. I want to do a Garfield show.
I'm waiting. I'm excited for that. Once you mentioned it, I was like, hell yeah, Garfield.
I think I might make it my birthday theme.
That'd
I kind of
be fun.
want my birthday to be Garfield.
You've been saying that for a while. Yeah.
Well, because last year's show, we did something else. So I'm like, this year for my birthday, I want Garfield.
Absolutely. Yeah,
When's your
let's do
birthday?
it.
June.
June? Okay.
Yeah.
Good month.
Pride Month Garfield show.
Well, yes.
That's hard.
I agree. Hello.
So you guys want to get started?
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. It's always weird just getting started into it.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, dope.
We're live.
We're live.
Everything you say is being recorded.
It's Monday night.
Just so be aware of that. Yeah, we are here with.
Oh, yeah. My name's Logan.
I'm Uriah, and we're your hosts, as well as.
I'm Ree. I'm just Ree.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm.
Who are you two?
Who are you guys?
Yeah, I'm Corbin. I'm one of the co-producers of Swarm here at the Hive.
What's your drag name?
Oh yeah, my drag name is Gwendolyn Cometh. Just Gwen if you're nasty.
And I'm Maya, also known as Miasma, and I'm also one of the co-producers and co-hosts of Swarm.
Nice.
Jinx.
So yeah, let's start off with where are you guys from?
So I actually grew up in Phoenix, and I came up to Flagstaff for school, like a lot of people, and I've been here about 10 years now.
Yeah, similar story, except I've been here for only about 4 years now.
Cool. What'd you go to school for?
I went to school for biology and philosophy for undergrad, and then stayed for my master's in biology, and right now I'm actually working at the Geologic Survey.
Nice.
Yeah, I am currently an art education student, and then I'm thinking about pursuing a master's in some sort of like marketing field, just because as much as I love education, it's a little weird right now, especially for queer people, and I just have kind of fallen out of love for it, and I've found more of love in like a marketing field. So yeah, I want to maybe do more schooling in that afterwards.
That's the first time I've heard about that. I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
What about you, Ree?
I was studying English education, and I also fell out of love with teaching. Also, like, I didn't want to be, like, non-binary and have parents be like, why are you they-theming, forcing my children to use they-them pronouns?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to deal with parents, and I see, like, comments from people just commenting on, like, normal things teachers do and, like, just villainizing them, and yeah, so I dropped out for like 2 years, and now I'm back just getting my English degree.
Yeah, I feel like when you're queer and in education, you're always under a microscope, and I'm like, I don't need all that.
Yeah.
I don't need...
Being a teacher is already stressful enough, and then it's probably way more stressful when it feels like you're under a microscope, especially with how
I feel like
everything is right
teachers
now.
are a career where like everything you do, even in your private life, is like judged. Like, if you're not the pinnacle of, like, purity and, like, being a good person, everyone's gonna have problems with you. Like, if you have a personal life, like, everything is criticized.
Right. Teachers are people too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Teachers like to have fun and party too.
Yeah.
By the way, congratulations on your nomination for Viola Awards.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What were you nominated for again?
Excellence in collaboration was the category.
Cool.
So yeah, very excited about that. Yeah, it just feels good to be recognized for everything we've been doing here for the past year or so.
Yeah, I just wanted to like ask because I know I already know it. It's just for the listeners out there.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
absolutely.
yeah.
And I had to pause and think about it for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely an honor. Last year, Glam Lad Cometh and I were nominated in the same category for a show we did at MoCAF. And so to get 2 nominations 2 years in a row feels really awesome. Feels like I'm definitely being seen by the town.
Nice. So why did you guys approach the Hive in the first place to do Swarm?
Well, yeah, so I actually, when I met Maya, we knew another drag performer who they had planned wanting to do an alternative show up here. And I was just like very excited and invested in that. And I know they had actually emailed the Hive about it before, and just kind of some slow responses getting back. So I went and found, or actually no, the Hive posted on their story that they wanted to do more outside of just like band shows, and so they were asking people to like reach out with other ideas. So I had reached out, and Ree had given me their Instagram, and so yeah, we just started chatting on Instagram. And I know Maya knows a little more of the history of why the Hive was picked specifically, but yeah, that was kind of what kind of started the blossoming of the show.
Yeah, I've been coming and seeing like punk shows and other stuff here since I moved here, since I was 18. And then after the pandemic, especially, I kind of, like wasn't going out as much. But then when it came time that I wanted to make a new show, specifically a show that centers around alternative stuff, it kind of just felt like a really natural fit. Like, it's a really open and accepting space. On a physical level, the stage is awesome. It's just a really cool space. I really enjoy the vibe that you guys have in here, the lighting and stuff. I knew that it would be perfect for what we were trying to do.
Nice.
Swarm at the Hive, what a good name.
Yeah, you guys were real for coming up with that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we had bounced around a couple ideas, but then as soon as someone mentioned that, I can't remember who gets credit for it. It just stuck immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you guys like choose the theme for the different drag shows? Like, is it like you guys put stuff into a hat and pull one out, or is there like, how's that process work?
So the first one felt very obvious. The first one was insect theme, and we just had our anniversary show on Friday night, which was the same themes, Insects 2.0. That's a theme that I had been wanting to do for a while, and then when we were like, okay, we're doing a show called Swarm at the Hive, it's time, it's perfect. For me, that theme definitely was inspired by this trip-hop album called Mezzanine by Massive Attack. It's one of my favorite albums.
I just listened to a song from that album today.
So good, so good. That is my bread and butter. I've loved that album for a long time. And I've been wanting to perform and I have performed songs from that album. And so I just was like, the cover of it is like a rhinoceros beetle, I think, just crawling across. And I just wanted to capture that kind of like gothic, insectoid, just spooky vibe with our first show. And then, Corbin, how did we pick the other themes?
Well, yeah, I think we kind of just bounce back and forth as co-hosts for themes we want to do.
Yeah.
So it's literally just whatever is something we've been passionate about that we think can fit into that, like, anyone could do it category. Like, I believe our second theme was like our Under the Sea theme, and that was a theme I had been wanting to do for a while. Quite honestly, a lot of themes that I want to do because like I haven't like a look idea for. So like Under the Sea, I was like making a mermaid outfit, and I was like, hey, we should do a water show. And then yeah, I know like we did Angels and Demons, which was like Maya's idea, and then we did Clowns, which was my idea. So we kind of go back and forth.
Clowns was my favorite one.
I really
that was
love
a
the
personal
Clowns.
favorite
Classic.
of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been
It felt
doing
like
clown
funny.
stuff since like 2019.
Is there like a theme that you guys haven't done yet that you really, really want to do?
Well, Garfield.
That's right, yeah, we were talking about
I've been
that.
wanting to do Garfield for a long time just because I feel like it's one of those themes that like no one expects but everyone would pull up for.
I feel like that would go really hard. Like, I feel like you could get some dope outfits with a Garfield theme.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, in my dream world, which not everybody has to do this, but in my dream world, everyone's Garfield in the show, and it's just like Night of 1,000 Garfields.
I was gonna ask,
I was,
are there
like,
any like
hoping there was-
Odies allowed, or?
I'll definitely be normal.
Yeah. I'll be side-eyeing her all night.
It makes me think of like the different kinds of like genres of Garfield, like the horror, like the nightmare Garfields. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a performer in town, I think I mentioned him earlier, Glam Lad Cometh, who has done a Garfield number where he has I want to say like a 5-foot diameter big Garfield head that he inhabits and then swallows people whole with.
Whoa.
That's
And
pretty
so
awesome.
he's prepared, and if you're listening to this, Glam, you're going to be helping us co-host it.
Yeah, very, very Lovecraftian Garfield. And actually, we should shout out Glam Lad because he is, our other co-host for this event. So if me and Maya can't ever pick up hosting for whatever reason, Glam will swoop in and is kind of like the save the day co-host.
Absolutely. I mean, he made the poster for the last show. He helped me co-host the last show. He's helped me co-host a couple times, actually. And so this is very much his show as much as it is ours. Yeah.
What's it look like setting up the shows? Like, how do you find artists and performers, and how does that process look for y'all?
When we were first starting this out, we had like sign-up sheets, like applications that we put out, you know, like a little Google form to express interest. We did that for a little bit as a way to kind of make it feel fair for people. And then as the shows have gone on, you know, we definitely have some like regulars at the shows who always are bringing good stuff, consistently doing creative ideas. And so there definitely is a little bit of like nepotism involved in so far as like, who do I like to work with, you know, who's not only good on stage, but also is easy to work with backstage and is friendly with us. And then also just who is bringing some really creative ideas. We've had a lot of performers come up from Phoenix and Tucson as well. Sometimes that's through personal connections, and a lot of times it's just from admiring their art a lot and wanting to have it come and be showcased up here in Flagstaff.
Yeah, we try to platform a lot of local artists who might not have another platform they feel comfortable with just because of the style of drag they bring. Mm-hmm. So I know we've had a lot of like drag debuts here where people will perform for their first time, and that's what's kind of so special about Swarm is like, yeah, like people who really want to start drag reach out to us and are like, hey, I believe Swarm is like a great spot for me to show my art, and we'll be like, heck yeah, come on and bring your art in. Like, didn't Nezzy have their debut here?
Yeah, so one of my drag children, Nezzy Ragdoll, has performed here, and it was their first ever time performing. They had been wanting to do drag for years, before even I was involved in drag. And so being able to give people like them, I'll also shout out another one of my drag children, Jack Axel, who is a special effects artist, who had been doing makeup for years and special effects makeup, really intricate masks and stuff like that. And, you know, it was really awesome to be able to have both of those people come up and do performance for the first time and, you know, kind of expand their art form in cool ways. And if anyone else is a performer that's listening to this, you know, please, like, we have an open door, open book policy. Like, if you're interested in performing at the Hive, if you're interested in doing either drag or something else, you know, we've had dancers express interest in future shows. I think we can probably fit a pole in here if there's any pole dancers interested, but this doesn't necessarily have to be just a drag show. You know, any performers, musicians as well, who are interested in working with us, please reach out. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
So cool. Like, I feel like having such a connected community, especially with something like drag, is so important. And it's really cool that you guys are able to like collaborate so much and bring together so many people to like express themselves wholly. And, you know, that's pretty awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, it's the best part of it. Absolutely.
And it fits in with what the Hive is doing really well, you know, just trying to provide like a space for people to just like, express themselves and not feel judged or, you know, just let it loose, you know, let the freak fly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Again, that's why I think we fit in here real well.
Yeah, and I've always really liked the Hive, that it can be an all ages space. That was one vision I always had for this show, was just it's a spot that like anyone can feel comfortable coming to, especially it being like alcohol free, drug free, and all ages. I feel like, especially like in Arizona, I actually didn't even know like drag was like a thriving community until I came up to Flagstaff, because in the valley a lot of the drag spaces are bars, and even in Flagstaff a lot of the drag spaces are either 18 plus or 21 plus because of like the bar space or whatever venue is provided. So I really appreciate that about the Hive, is that we can make drag and queer art available to anybody.
I will second that notion very much so, especially because in bar shows, which have a lot of advantages to them, and definitely all my fellow producers in town who are hosting shows at bars, like, we love showing out for those. It can definitely have a little bit of an atmosphere of like performing for a very cisgender and heteronormative audience, where you might feel a little bit ogled sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I think the Hive and you guys especially have helped this happen. Really cultivates an audience that is there to appreciate art, and in maybe a little bit of less objectifying way. And yeah, we're able to like you said, let our freak flags fly. That's awesome.
Swarm was like the first drag show that I ever went to. And every time like we have a Swarm show, it's so cool to see everyone like show up in like their makeup and outfits. Like you guys are so creative, and it like blows my mind every time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like what Ree was saying, like, the outfits that are put together are so cool, like, I'm a pretty creative person, but I don't think I would be able to come up with some of this stuff, and I like mean that as a compliment.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying.
You can call me a freak as a compliment.
But it's so cool, because I was just talking to my girlfriend about this the other day. I love being able to see artists like express themselves in their own way, because it's always different from how I would have thought to do something, and it's like eye-opening, in a sense of just seeing how cool and unique everybody is.
Yeah, I think that's a big advantage of having themes to shows, is you give someone a little nugget of inspiration, and then they're gonna just take it however they want to take it. When we did Under the Sea, we had people who were sea creatures. We had someone dressing up as a jellyfish. We had people who took that more nautical route and did stuff that was like pirate inspired. Same thing with like the insects show. We had people dressing up as spooky, scary insects. And then my friend Revolution showed up as an insect catcher with a net and all of their like, granola-y, like, I don't know, just outdoorsy outfit. And I thought that was a really, really cute and creative way to kind of take that idea. So I do love that aspect of doing drag, is seeing people take an idea but put their own personal twist on it.
Yeah.
Has there ever been like a scenario where like you had someone in the show who didn't know about drag or wasn't sure if they were into it, and by the end of the show they're like, this is awesome?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have someone at almost every Swarm do that, just because of like people who are bringing people in. And I just think like in general with drag, you're gonna catch people at any venue who are into that. And I think that's kind of the beautiful thing about it, is that you'll have your regulars and you have your people who show up, but you'll always have someone new who's just there to check it out. And it especially warms my heart at Swarm when we get new people, because they get to see not only like queer art, but queer vendors, and that we do give back into our community. Because most shows will have someone bend, but at all of our shows, since I believe our second or third show, we've sold posters, and the money that we get from selling those posters, we will give to a local charity. Like I know the last Swarm's charity that we donated to was Hall No, and we'd actually donated to them before as well. And they're just doing hard work to make sure that the uranium mines out in the Grand Canyon aren't like tainting the water in the Grand Canyon, and doing hard work to prevent that. And so that's one thing that's beautiful about Swarm, that especially like the new people get to come see, is that drag is beyond just like queer people putting on a show. It's used to make a change and to stand up for what's right.
Nice. That's awesome.
How long does it normally take to make a costume?
That is a question that could have a whole range of answers.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think last Friday I wore a costume that I made at a different show in like 20 minutes backstage.
Nice.
And then everyone complimented me on it. So definitely there is not a strong correlation between time and effectiveness, which is something you learn by doing drag. And then I've had costumes that have taken like weeks and weeks of preparation. And then some costumes that I'll commission from Corbin. Those are the best ones, because it's weeks of preparation that he's doing for me.
Yeah, it's like Maya said, there's like a wide range of time it takes, and there's like a wide range of how you're making these costumes, because some costumes will get made from scratch with fresh fabric, and anything like that we're cutting and sewing together. But there are other costumes that people will just take bits and pieces of clothing and mismatch them and then rhinestone them or do something to them to make them their own. And both of those things are completely valid ways to make costumes. Both of those things make great costumes. And yeah, they both kind of take their own amounts of time. So that's really cool about drag is, you don't need to be super rich or have a lot of money to make a really cool outfit. You can put something together that's yours in a short amount of time if you don't have a lot of time too.
You have an opinion about Joann's going out of business? I was so sad about that.
One of the greatest tragedies of 2025 so far.
The drag
At
community
least for
took a
drag.
hit.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
It's true. That being said, I mean, I think it'll really encourage people to buy more from local fabric shops. Like there's Odegaard's in Sunnyside that has, it doesn't have as much fabric, but it has all like the essential sewing stuff you would need. Like they've got snaps, they've got thread, they've got spare needles, they've got a bunch of sewing machines. So I think that's one beautiful thing about it is people will kind of be forced to go more local instead of shopping at the big chain. And then it'll force people to get a little more creative with how they're buying fabric. And honestly, there are cheaper places to buy fabric than Joann's, like Goodwill bed sheets that you wash when you buy them, or again, even Odegaard's, just checking out what they have. So yes, it's a little sad because it takes away the convenience of it, but it's also, I think, a blessing in disguise because it'll force people to go outside of what's easy.
Nice.
If you need a ready-to-go costume or maybe just costume piece, I want to give a big shout-out to Nancy at In Cahoots.
Mm-hmm.
She has hooked it up many, many a time, especially when it's day of and you're looking for that last little pair of sunglasses or something to really accentuate your outfit. Yeah, buy local for sure.
Yeah, I think she has like whole like contacts, like colored contacts
She
that you
does.
could buy
Uh-huh.
there.
I used to work there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take a little credit for that. She started stocking them after I asked her like 3 times. She's like, all right, I guess there's a market. Time to stock them.
Yeah.
Do you have any more questions?
I
I'm trying to think of something.
okay, yeah, totally, man. I just didn't. I feel like I've been talking a lot, so I'm like, I gotta think of something too. I had something, and then you asked me what it was, and now
Oh,
I
sorry.
don't have it anymore.
It's my bad.
No, it's okay.
What is something about the drag community that you think people should know about that don't know anything about the drag community?
So, do we want to start like local Flagstaff drag or just drag as a whole?
Dealer's choice.
I think I'll just start by saying that anywhere you are, with some exception maybe, there's going to be a local drag community. Flagstaff is maybe unique in so far as how strong and vibrant it is. I think actually Corbin takes a lot of credit for that, especially in the past several years, as a lot of drag has been coming out of the University Drag Club, Flaunt, that he's a president of. But there's going to be local drag in every small town that you go to. You might just not be aware of it yet. So drag is definitely, obviously it's not something that's just happening on TV or in like big metropolitan areas. It's happening everywhere. There's drag queens out in Williams and Prescott as well, southern Utah. They're all over. And so I would just encourage everyone, like, I don't know, find your local drag queen, and if you don't know any, maybe just find your local queer friend and ask, like, hey, do you know about any drag queens in town? Because the chances are they probably are around, but maybe they're not reaching the same levels of fame as other people might be.
Yeah, and I guess one thing I'll say about the drag community is that it's very welcoming and there's very open arms. I think a lot of times I see newer drag artists get very scared to put themselves out there because they're afraid of the reaction or how they'll be received. But as long as you're like an honest, like hardworking person, as long as you have the passion for it, people are going to welcome you with open arms. They're going to want to platform you. And I think that's something that's very beautiful about drag is that anyone can do it. It's not just for a certain, like a person who looks a certain kind of way, acts a certain kind of way. Like if you are just very passionate about art and you want to show people what you have to offer, it's one of those communities that I have found home in, especially like, you know, needing a good like queer family. I have found that in the drag community. And so I think that's something that's very important for people to know is like, hey, like if this is something you want to do and you want to find this good queer community, or even if you don't want to perform and just be involved, drag is there for you to get involved and make a change and find family.
There's definitely not one way to do drag either. I think there's maybe an image that a lot of new performers, like Corbin was just saying, of what drag looks like. But I've seen drag where people don't have wigs, they don't glue down their eyebrows, they do their makeup in a very idiosyncratic way, and it's awesome, and it's some of the best drag I've ever seen. Drag is kind of like almost an absence of an art form insofar as you can fit anything into the broad tent that is drag. It doesn't have to be lip syncing, it can be singing, it can be stuff that's a little more crafty, involving puppets, whatever you want. It really all it comes down to is drag is getting on stage and showing your queerness and showing yourself.
Yeah, and I guess to kind of leeway into that, like we're kind of talking about it already, but what does like drag mean to you guys? How does it feel for you, and what does it mean for you?
To me personally, drag has always meant change. Drag, the very basis of it, you know, like the history of drag, at least in America, was William Swan in like the early 1900s would put on drag balls for Black Americans to come to and express themselves and kind of make fun of like kitschy white culture, and it was just a way for them to be themselves and be open and unapologetic about it. And the term queen actually came from these like queens of the change movement in America, where like neighborhoods, Black women were crowned queens of their neighborhood because of the change they were making. And so to me, that's always what drag has meant, and it's always what it means, is that you are here to make change, whether it's literally just being yourself, especially in a time when being yourself is political, that makes drag political. And so just by being here and doing it, you are the change people want to see. Drag is so politicized right now, like there's a lot of eyes on it, and so having the bravery to just exist and do it can be the change, or raising money can be the change, or finding the things in your community that need change and need help can be the change. So yeah, that's always what drag has meant to me.
It's a really good answer.
That was a really good answer.
Yeah.
Can I take this mic and drop it?
It's not mine, so yes.
I think for me, drag is really about being seen. And in a weird way, I think when I put on makeup and put on a costume, it's not me turning into someone else, but it's actually like my true self coming out a little bit. And I think this is true of basically every performing art. We all want to like bare our naked soul a little bit to an audience. Maybe because we want attention. I think that's very much true, and it's true of me for sure. And a lot of my drag has been inspired by feelings of like ugliness and pain that I have, especially that stem from me being a trans woman. And so turning myself into something that is maybe a little monstrous, a little scary, but that also might have like a sensual or alluring vibe to it, feels like it's me kind of processing those emotions. And in a weird way, drag is a performance art where you're processing your emotions with the audience. And I don't think that could happen in a type of art that wasn't public like that.
Was there like any anxieties when Swarm started about doing like an all ages drag show, especially with how political drag is right now? Like, were you guys worried that people would like get pissed off? Like, what were your thought process?
Well, Maya knows this about me. I did have a lot of anxiety about it because I'm very much a, like, I call Swarm my baby. I'm like, you're my baby and I don't want anything to happen to my baby. And so, yeah, I'm very on top of, like, we got to keep it all ages. We got to keep it kid-friendly. But I think one thing I've actually learned about Flagstaff is that it's a lot. I think maybe because there's a smaller town, there's less eyes on it. But I also think it has a lot to do with queerness just being such an integral part of the town. Like, I just met Drew, right? Drew.
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Or is it Dre?
Oh, Dre.
Dre, yes.
Yeah,
I
Dapper
just,
Dre.
Yes, I just met Dre, who is, I was told, like, the unofficial mayor of Flagstaff, who, like, comes out to all the drag events, helps run queer shows, and is just very involved. And so, like, queerness being such a, like, deep-rooted part of Flagstaff, I think very much helps as well, and has brought a lot of relief. But I also think that just showing through our show that drag can be for any age, and like, because obviously there's different forms of drag, but there are forms of drag too that are welcome to all audiences. I think just proving that helped relieve a lot of my anxiety too, because I'm like, yeah, it'll be okay, and these performers are awesome and for any age. So yeah.
I'll do so much for the community too, you know. So like, if someone's mad about it, they can fuck off.
You're here.
Yeah, I don't see them donating money to charities every month. So.
Yeah.
Right. This is like a joke question, kind of, but has there ever been a moment where like two drag queens like got upset because one was stunting more than the other one?
Every show. Multiple times a night. Definitely. Maybe I think I'm usually the one who's getting jealous of the other girls stunting too hard. I think that's all I'll say about that.
Well, no, I think just like in any community, there's people who butt heads, but I think in Flagstaff there is just such like a core of support and like
Definitely.
wanting to see each other succeed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think, you know, beyond like the funniness, like, you know, it's mostly support, and that's what's awesome about it.
Definitely. We're all trying to uplift each other. We're all like collaborating on ideas. Like a lot of times, a queen's best outfit, 4 different people were working on that. You know, and a lot of those other people were probably queens themselves. I've definitely been in that position with my co-hosts. So yeah, I think drag can be a little bit like stand-up comedy, where there's a lot of like jealousy that can happen, because it's a performing art, and it's something where you have to follow someone else, and maybe like your position in the set list might affect, you know, if like the person that went on before you got uproarious applause, then the beads of sweat start rolling down, and you know you really got to bring it. And I think in a lot of ways that encourages people. That little aspect of having a challenge like that to really just wow the audience, and maybe wow the audience more than your sister did, can really be a little bit of a little oomph to really put your pussy in it, as we say.
Your tone sounds very pointed right now, Mike.
Yeah. Nice.
You're pretty quiet, Ree.
I am pretty quiet.
What's your favorite things about the shows that happen here?
I like seeing everyone get excited. I think I'm like usually doing doors, so I see everyone coming in, and sometimes I'm like surprised, like, because I try and leave like judgment and bias out of my way of thinking, but like sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, this person doesn't look like they'd be at a drag show, but here they are. And it just makes me happy seeing like all different kinds of people coming in, and like just like how into it they get, because I'm like looking down from the window up top, and I can see people in the crowd just like reaching out towards the queens and just like getting so into the performances. It just, the amount of emotion that like builds up in the room is intense.
I had a question.
Lay it on.
Had is the key word.
Oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue.
I had all my questions written down on my notebook and I forgot my backpack. I brought everything else except my backpack.
yeah, I think I remember. For the listeners who have made it this far, who somehow don't know what drag is, how would you define drag to somebody who's like never heard of it before? How would you define it?
This is tough after I was just saying it could be anything.
I guess for me, drag is theatrical queer art. And that's about it. And so whatever that means to you, like Maya was saying, whether it's puppets, whether it's singing, as long as there's some sort of theatricality to it, and a lot of times that includes like big costumes, big makeup, but there are also like a lot of queens, especially like trans women queens, who have smaller makeup, but they are still doing incredible drag. And sometimes there are people who their makeup is just like insane all over the place artwork makeup. It's really hard to put it into one specific box because truly it is just however that queer artist has decided to express themselves in that theatrical way that is drag.
So like a form of expression for
Yeah.
for whoever the performer is.
Yes.
Yeah. I think drag has a lot of similarities to like clownery and also miming. One of the biggest like forms of performances in drag is a lip sync, where you take a song or maybe multiple songs that you mix together and you perform to it. You put physicality into it, you lip sync along to the lyrics. You might do it in a very exaggerated way. You might do some dance moves, or maybe you might do something that's more, theatrical, like acting out a scene of sorts. And I think that similarity to clownery comes in where basically the goal is to not just express, but kind of bring the audience into an emotional space, whatever that you want that space to be. A lot of it is humorous, like clowning is. A lot of it could be sad. A lot of it could be scary. It could be tragic. And through the power of your body, through the power of your face, through the creativity in your outfit and your makeup, you are trying to evoke emotion in the audience in some way and kind of invite them into your emotional world.
Nice. Good answers. What sparked like the desire to create Swarm? Like, was it just one day you were like, oh, let's make a drag show, or how'd that work out?
I think at its simplest, yes. So, like I mentioned earlier, I had put on a show at MoCAF about a year prior to Swarm starting, or maybe just a couple months actually. It was called Nightmare Over the Rainbow. And my co-host and I, Glam Lad, basically wanted to kind of keep that momentum going and keep that kind of creative energy going. That was a one-off event that we had done. And I really just wanted a space in Flagstaff for particularly what I would call alternative drag. What is alternative drag? It can be anything. We have glamour and comedy here as much as any other drag show would, but we also like to incorporate a lot of elements of horror, gothic imagery, bugs and sea creatures, and all sorts of stuff that maybe just a little weird. And so, for me, I just kind of wanted a drag show that felt a little weirder. And I also wanted a show that was very welcoming to newcomers as well. Like we were mentioning earlier, just like a platform for people who had never tried drag or maybe were just getting started to express their weirdest sides.
How did y'all choose your stage names? And like, do they have a meaning?
My name is Maya, and so Miasma is kind of just a play on words off of that. And a lot of my drag is very spooky ooky is what hosts like to describe it as, and I think that's accurate. And miasma, if you don't know, is an old theory of how disease was spread, that there was spooky, sinful vapors that would emanate from the sick people and infect everyone else. And so I just thought that was, I don't know, that was pretty badass.
Life must have been so fun when you could just write something off as like a spooky vapor.
I would encourage people to keep doing that.
Yeah, right.
If stuff
keep
is
things
not going
interesting.
right, just say, hey, Mercury is in retrograde.
Let's bring bloodletting back.
Yeah.
I am an advocate of the four humors theory of health. So if you're not feeling well, check your mucus.
What about you?
Yeah, I got my name, so it's kind of a long story, but essentially, like, when I first started drag, I, like, had this idea of who I wanted to be, and I was obsessed with the Labyrinth. And so there's Jareth from the Labyrinth, who's the Goblin King, and I just kind of wanted to play on words there, so I was like, oh, I could be Gwen the Goblin Queen and be Jareth's wife, hello. But I also chose Gwen because Gwendolyn kind of is like, Gwen is feminine and Dolan is masculine, and I knew one day I might want to play more on the masculine side of drag. And then, yeah, I thought that Gwen the Goblin Queen kind of put me in a little box. So I was like, I would rather just be able to do whatever I want to do and express myself however I want to express myself. And so now I'm like more Gwen when I'm in female drag, more Dolan when I'm in masculine drag, and then Gwendolyn just whenever I want to do anything. So yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
I had a question.
We're trading.
Yeah.
I feel like when I have my question, yeah.
So you mentioned that you want to do a Garfield theme one. Do you guys have any other ideas for something you want to do in the future?
Yeah, I've been having an idea for a while that I want to do a like revolutions themed show, like a historical revolution show. So whether that's the French Revolution, the Haitian Revolution, American Revolution, whatever the performers want to bring, anything themed around that. I think that would be really cool, especially because I think needless to say, everyone is feeling a lot of political anxiety right now and maybe political rage. And I really want to have a show where we can get some of that political rage out. I won't reveal the name quite yet, but it is going to be revolution related.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
And then I really want to do like a medieval themed show. So like castles, big princess hats, knights, stuff like that. Just because, I don't know, I think it'd be
Chainmail.
cute and fun. Chainmail, yes. Chapel Roan,
Are
hello.
wizards
Yes.
allowed?
What was that?
Are wizards allowed?
Yes, of
Absolutely.
course,
Oh,
wizards
yeah.
and jesters. Hello. I really want to do that just because I think it'll be fun. I've also wanted to do a meat theme for a while. Like, not with like actual meat by any means, but just
No,
however.
nothing's off the
Lady
table.
Gaga
Yeah,
had the
nothing's-
meat dress.
Yeah. However you interpret meat, like yes, and we'd have to do it during the colder seasons though. I fear because hot plus meat
Oh,
does not
God.
sound like
Yeah.
fun.
Just wearing a raw steak for
Yeah.
like hours. Okay, so we have drag shows that you want to do. What would be a theme that you absolutely would not want to do?
That's an interesting question.
What would you be like, man, this sucks?
Oh, I got one. So drag, a lot more of like your drag queen, like maybe what you see more on like RuPaul's Drag Race or in pageants. Shows that more garner towards that type of drag love to do like pop diva nights, which is fine, and like they're honestly a lot of fun. I've just done so many of them. like you know, like Lady Gaga, Chapel Roan, Sabrina Carpenter themed nights. And I just feel like, yeah, those are a lot of fun, especially for the bar space. But like, because it's Swarm, want to do something a little more creative. Like maybe instead of
share
well,
night?
but hear me out. Instead of pop divas, me and Maya were talking about like a Maynard Keenan show. So like Tool, Pucifer, and Perfect Circle, like those three. So I'm like, instead of
That's
pop
what I
divas,
want.
rock divas. Hello.
Nice.
I don't think a MAGA show is in the works.
Oh, God.
I'm just kidding.
That would be really funny though.
I think when I was mentioning a Revolutions themed show earlier, there might be some plays on that.
Might be some January 6th.
Oh, gee, no.
Cool.
We're about 45 minutes in. I don't mind ending it soon. But do you guys have anything else you would like to add to the...
I want to just say, like, thanks for having us. You know, this has been really fun kind of talking about this stuff. And just, like, thanks to the Hive for allowing us to do Swarm. And not just allowing us, but, like, helping us do Swarm from, like, the ground up. You guys help a lot with advertisement. You know, obviously, without you guys doing, like, the lights, the music, the doors, none of that would be possible. Security, keeping us safe, like we really appreciate that, especially to you, Ree. Like you've been our main point of contact for organizing all of this stuff, and I really appreciate it. Like you do a lot of work for us, and it does not go unnoticed or unappreciated.
No problem. I feel like I don't do enough, but it's just really cool getting the space ready and making sure that it's ready for you guys to do your magic.
Totally. Yeah, the atmosphere in here is just perfect.
And then, the last thing I want to say is just support your local drag artist. The best way to do that, if you have no money, is just follow them on Instagram. Okay, we all like to see those numbers increase. But if you do have like $1 to tip a queen at a show, that's probably going to help with paying for groceries that month. I know, because I use my tips to go pay for groceries. A lot of us have jobs, but especially now, like when being queer, it's harder to find like good solid work. Like with DEI programs getting cut, with queer people being demonized in the media, it's only going to get harder. So tip your queens, kings, and things if you can. Go support drag shows if you can. If not, follow if you can, because that means the world to us.
Yeah, you can follow us at Swarm at the Hive on Instagram. Do we want to plug some shows that we got coming up?
Do it.
Hell yeah.
Shows.
You got more than I do.
So there's a Take a Slice at the Pizza Patio. I believe that's March 28th. There's the Yo Garrett show that Glam Lad is putting on.
It's March 30th.
Yes,
It'll
which
be
is
for
March
Trans
30th.
Day of Visibility. A little celebration of trans people. That'll be really awesome.
Yes. Let me think. April 4th is Rodeo Disco, which is a pride event we were having at NAU. We will have a drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race, Heidi in Closet, there. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then, let me think. We have April 24th. Flaunt will be at the Orpheum here in town for Wish Upon a Wig, which is a fairy tales themed show. So think Wicked, think Shrek, think
Brothers Grimm.
Brothers Grimm, of course. So those are the main ones I can think of right now. And then come to your next Storm show, whatever.
Yeah, nothing on the schedule yet, but we'll keep y'all updated.
I just had an idea for a show that I think would be pretty cool.
Lay it on us.
Lovecraftian.
Yes, that's a great idea.
That's
Cosmic Horror Night.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of coincides with the Garfield thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, Lovecraftian Garfield. I love it.
Yeah, Garfield's my favorite Eldritch horror for sure.
Some of those comics are kind of spooky.
Yeah,
Have you ever
how
seen
we
the-
eat the lasagna in one bite?
Have you ever seen like the Garfield without Garfield, and it's just John coming home like being depressed? I'm like, that's the real horror.
Yeah.
Turns out John is schizophrenic and Garfield never existed.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks for being on the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have anything to add?
Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for supporting the Hive, and make sure to support Swarm and any artist in town. Support local, be friendly, be nice to each other. Have a good day. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that's a wrap.